Hello everyone and welcome to Talking NEPA. I'm Gary Perna. Today we have Allison Barletta with me. This is the paid political programming here on WYLN TV. For the next half hour we're going to meet Allison Barletta, learn where she stands on a lot of these issues, and give her the opportunity to talk about her platform and why she believes she's the best candidate for Hazleton Mayor. So Allison, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So first of all, and I want to mention, before this programming, you were just on with The Storm on with Tiffany Cloud, where we talked about a bunch of things. So I want to give you the opportunity to kind of pick up where you guys left off, but also give a little bit of a background of yourself, an abridged version, if you will, about you and why you decided to run for mayor of Hazleton.
Sure. So I am the daughter of Carmine and the late Johnny Barletta. I am a lifelong resident here in Hazleton. I love Hazleton. This is my home. I have a 7-year-old daughter, myself and my fiance. I graduated from Penn State University, and I am a business manager, and I have been employed in my field for the last 9 years. Also, too, this is my second year on council, and sitting on council, I find that it was truly an eye-opening to see how the government is being ran, and that's why I decided to run for mayor then. So
let me ask you first, before we get into some of the questions, you know, why did you think this was a time for you to run for mayor? Only 2 years on council. You know, some people out there, and we've been hearing, you know, is she really that experienced? Does she really know the city as well as she should? And I tell people, other members of council or other mayors have run with less experience, but, you know, to answer them, you know, what made you want to do this?
I have the energy to do this. Sitting on council, I see the way that the government's being ran. I see what's working and what's not working. I am listening to the residents, I'm listening to the business owners. I am also listening to the employees and getting their feedback, and I'm thinking, we cannot move forward like this. You know, this is the time I need to get in there. I have the experience in business. I do budgets all of the time, and I know how to be a leader, and I think that's one of the most important things in this job.
All right, so let me ask you, you are running on a campaign of transparency. And I want to ask you, where did that come from, and why is this your main drag, that you're running on transparency?
Sitting on council the first year, trying to get involved with everything, I do see that was something that we did lack. We did lack that transparency, communication, and collaboration. So I sat down and I thought, this is what we need. I did research from other cities and saw how they made a big turnaround, and this is what we need. We need the transparency initiative, and that's why I wanted to put this in place, because I do truly believe that the residents deserve to know where their hard-earned tax money is going.
I'm going to ask you, I've covered city council my whole career in local news, and we hear candidates all the time come up and say, well, you know, the council and mayor, they need to work better together, or the administration needs to be more open with council. From your sit right now on council, how do you think the flow of information is? And do you think that more things need to come before city council?
Absolutely. I think it should be an open door policy. Anything that the administration gets, they need to forward that to council. That's the way we're going to make informed decisions. It's hard to, you find stuff out from the standard speaker, you find something out from online, you find something out from the employees, and you're thinking, why did council not know about this? And how are we going to pass an accurate budget without knowing all of the details? It's just be open flow of information, and that's how we make informed decisions. And then we wouldn't have to going back and forth trying to get information.
So let me ask you that. I just asked you that question. If elected mayor of Hazleton, will you be very transparent to council and be putting items out on the agenda?
Absolutely. That is my #1. I will vow to do that. I do truly believe in that process. I want to include council. I want to include them in meetings that I have. I want them to come. I want them to sit down so they know what's going on. And there's no secrets with me. And that's one of my biggest issues that I want to put forward.
You say one of the biggest thing is communications with the residents, that sometimes from where you're sitting, it seems like the communications that the residents are getting are not accurate enough, that they're getting them kind of at the wrong times. So what would you do to open lines of communication between City Hall and city government and the residents and taxpayers of Hazleton?
That's one of the biggest. So of course the transparency initiative, publishing everything on the website is going to be huge for the residents to come out and see that. But I want to do, there's 3 things that I want to put into place as mayor. I want to do a mayor's meeting. That mayor's meeting is where the residents can come directly to myself as mayor, along with the department heads. Sit down, tell me your concerns, tell me the issues, and tell me your ideas. Let's talk about it, come up with a solution. I want the department heads to be able to answer to the residents if they're having an issue. I want them to be able to present to the residents what's going on in that department. I want them to give an update on that budget. And I also want to broadcast that live. That's the mayor's meeting. It's not the council meeting, it's the mayor's meeting. That's our chance to talk to the residents. Let's broadcast that live so residents that can't make it could come out and see what's going on.
With that, we've seen mayors in the past in Hazleton and other communities who kind of did that outreach. Didn't work so well. Would you be taking it out to places, or do you think would you be inviting people into the city?
I think it would actually be better moving it around the city to different areas. I think that would actually be better because a lot of people are like, oh, City Hall. A lot of people don't want to be coming to City Hall. I think a more casual setting would actually make people feel more comfortable. And that's the same thing that I want to do with the other board that I want to do. It's the Community Advisory Committee, and I believe that's a very important one for our city. It's going to be a group that's going to consist of residents that mirror diversity in our community. Go out, sit, again, casual environment, not at City Hall, just meet at different places throughout the area and sit there and talk about the challenges that they see, the issues that they're facing, and come up with solutions. Because, being on council, you're not going to know exactly what other people are thinking, and that's why we need that group that's going to mirror the diversity, see what's going on, come up with solutions, and that's going to actually help the communication between the city government and also the community.
All right, so I want to talk about, and this kind of goes into the communication part of it, but technology. You have said, I've done a little research in reading your website and seeing what you were talking about, and you want to bring technology into the city. And I do want to also point out, this takes money. And as a financially distressed city, you've talked about, getting some new technology in for the departments and for City Hall so people can get this information for residents as well. But how would you do this when we're financially strapped?
It's going to be, the first one's going to be the public mass notification system. I already reached out, did research on that. That's going to be actually a free plan that we're going to do. They give that to communities that need that. So the public mass notification system is actually going to help with the communication with the residents. They could sign up, email, text message, even people that don't have email or cell. I know, like my mom, she still has a flip phone, she still has a house phone, where they could call and let them know when the snow ban's in effect. Let them know when street sweeping's going on. Let them know if there's an emergency. That's also going to improve our public safety. In case there's an emergency, call. Everyone gets a notification of what's going on. And I think that's very important. That's a free thing. Everything else with technology is going to be grants. And to be honest, when you're putting technology into play, you're actually going to be saving money when you put them into play in the long run.
Something I wanted to say, so the broadcast part of that, getting the message out, similar, so people understand, similar to kind of what the school district uses, that, you get the text message for alert stuff, so it would be along those same lines as something that you would be able to broadcast out to anybody who signs up for it.
Absolutely. I think it works very well for the school district with the kids, and I think that's great. That's what we need here in our city.
You did talk about grants, Ramona, and I want to just ask that. Do you think Hazleton needs a dedicated grant writer?
Absolutely. Aggressive, dedicated grant writer. There's so much money out there that we're missing that we need to be going after, benefiting from our city. We also have residents out there that want to help. They could help write grants. We just had it in the past. They just helped a couple years ago write their grant for the streetlights that we just approved. And having more people involved, and it's their community, letting them know that they can help, I think that's going to go a long way. I also want to make sure that we have all of our department heads trained, make sure that they know how to write grants the correct way, so we could be benefiting, every department could be benefiting, every area of our city.
I also want to talk about, and I alluded to, some revenue. We said technology and using grants and trying to figure it that way. But how do we, right now, we're in Act 47, and the next mayor, whoever it is, will still be in Act 47 for, I think, about 4 more years. So almost the entire term of the next mayor will still be under Act 47. So how do you, or the next mayor coming in, but you, since you're here today, get the city on financial stable ground again? Now, we're kind of starting out, but how do we keep that?
Well, first, just to touch base a little bit on the technology that you did mention there. You know, cities worldwide are using the technology, and it's actually making cities more effective and more efficient. And, you know, technology has advanced by leaps and bounds, and we need to bring that to Hazleton. We need to be modernized, you know. We need to be up on everything, you know, parking enforcement, we need to be up on issuing citations to the text messages. You know, we need to bring from the streets to the back office, which is going to help. It's going to save the man hours, not the manpower, man hours. It's going to save on that. And that's all going to be with the technology, you know, the backup on the cloud, which is a big help too. Using technology, I've been doing a lot of research, of course, and one of the biggest is the police department, integrating the technology with the police department. It sounds like it's an old, you know, old hat, the Facebook, the social media, but that actually is advancing. It's a crime-fighting tool, and it's being, you know, realized now that that actually is helping the communities by using social media. It's helping them fight crime. You know, being up with technology is going to move our city forward. And as for the revenue part there, I do have plans for that, but I do believe we need to start a solid foundation. It's just like a house. You have that solid foundation and you need to build up. If you don't have that solid foundation, you're going to crumble. And I do see that happening now. We don't have policies and procedures in place. You don't have checks and balances in place, and that's something that we do need. So I do truly believe that we need to start and improve the quality of life. Let's start there. We need to improve the quality of life, get rid of the blight. We need to get rid of the roads, the potholes. We need to improve that to attract businesses to our area. And I am pro-business, but we need to help the local businesses. You know, right now, I'm walking around talking to people and I'm seeing that they don't have business license. There's many illegal businesses out there, but they're not sure on how to go about this process. So we need, again, communication and collaboration with the business owners. You know, that's a main part of the revenue coming in also. And we need to focus on that. We need to build up all of our storefronts. We need to be attracting businesses here. But having that communication from the city government to those businesses is going to help. When you come in for a business license, and I know this for a fact, you go in, you get your business license, and you're on your way. You're a new business, you're coming into Hazleton, you go get your business license, you should be given a pamphlet stating this is what you need, this is required. These are the laws that you need to follow. And that's going to also help businesses knowing that your city is supporting you. And I think that's a big issue that we're seeing now. Mercantile tax, that's one of the issues. A lot of the businesses don't know you need to pay that, and they don't think it's fair. So we need to make sure that we're fair and equal, and that's going to help us bring in the revenue. That's going to attract new businesses here. And I think a lot of it, once we get the government, the city government back on track and we're stable, a lot of businesses are going to want to come back to Hazleton then. And I think we'll have an influx then.
Do you think there's a stigma around the name Hazleton? Do you think that, you know, people are thinking, oh, you know what, why do you want to open a business in Hazleton? Why do you want to go to Hazleton? Do you think there's a problem associated with the name?
Absolutely. That's one of the big things. In the business I'm in now, I talk to people all over the area. And when I tell them where we're located in Hazleton, they say, Hazleton? Oh, what are you doing there? It's scary. No, it's not scary. Well, there's nothing there. And I want to change that vision of Hazleton. And I think we are on the right track, but we need to work harder. And that's what we need. We need to change that around so people want to come to Hazleton, see that they're turning around. I have been reaching out to other communities, seeing what worked for them, how they turned around. We just had the mayor from Sunbury down here the other day. Took him around Hazleton, and he was excited that, you know, this is what Sunbury did, but he also gave us advice on what worked down there, and that's what we need to implement here.
How do you, as the mayor, entice businesses to stay put in the city and to grow in the city? We're landlocked. That's no secret. You know, we're surrounded by West Hazleton and Hazel Township. But how do you get them to stay, open a business here and stay and grow that business here, that it not only helps them in the community, but it helps the tax basin as well? Again,
streamlining that process, knowing that the city is in communication with them. One of my big things I want to do, of course, is you are a business in Hazleton. You have your business license. You're following all the rules. When you apply for that, you're going to get your picture taken with your business. And that's going to go onto our hazletoncity.org website. We don't have that right now. It's something that I want to implement. No cost. But what it's going to be is you're a resident in Hazleton. You go onto there, you could see what businesses are there. You could see what services that they're providing, and that's going to help support that local economy then, and that's going to promote people to shop local. And I see it all the time. Oh, I didn't know that business was around. I wish I would have known, because I would have shopped local. And that's what we need, more communication.
Let me ask you this too with the businesses. Is there a fine line the city has to walk between fining businesses when they're in violation and helping them to understand the rules and the laws of the city? How do we walk that line?
I think by, of course, changing the process. You know, this is when you come in for a business license, this is what's required of you. And right there, you're signing saying, this is what I need. You know, you have your checklist. And then after that, if you don't have that, we need to go to them. And maybe if the first time we give them a warning, the second time we say, this is what needs to do. Because right now I feel we're pushing a lot of the businesses away. You know, if they're not in compliance with the ordinances, they don't know that, and they're running away from Hazleton, and they're going to West Hazleton and Hazel Township. So we need to work with them to keep those businesses here local.
And one thing that kind of puts into this, and this is something I have asked every mayor candidate and sitting mayor since I've been doing news and shows, the code department in Hazleton, to me, just seems so underfunded and underutilized. And I think next to probably police and fire are the busiest department in the city. How do we help that? How do we get them? Because in all reality, everything, businesses, properties, when there's an issue, it's a code department issue. And it seems like it lags a little bit. How do we fix that?
Yes, you're absolutely right. One way we're going to fix that is, of course, having the grants. Let's reach out to our legislators. Let's reach out to whoever we can. Let's tell them we need help. We need the funding, and we need to, you know, beef up our code department so we're out there and we are fixing the issues that we're facing out there.
All right. There's a lot going on. So I want to turn now a little bit to crime. Crime and drugs, we've seen a huge influx across the country, not just in Hazleton, but combating some of these problems. And what would you do as the mayor here to continue the fight against the drugs, the opioids, the heroin that's flying around here? How do we address that? How do we become one as one community and address this issue?
Well, the biggest at first would be, as mayor, I need to be more aggressive with the legislators, letting them know we have a problem here, letting them know we need the funding to help us fight that. We need to make sure that we send our officers out to training to combat that. Another big one is communication with the residents. We need to let them know that when they have an issue, that it's safe with us. You know, it's not going to be told who told us this. We need to have an open communication with the residents, letting them know that they could report stuff when they see that, and letting them know what's going on in their community too. Like the other day, Luzerne County just had the opioid, also their forum, and that's something we need to bring here to Hazleton too. You know, let the residents be involved, let them know what's going on. I think that will help fight a lot of it.
Do you think there's still and I asked about the stigma around Hazleton, but do you think there's a stigma around residents and feeling the openness to communicate with police and call 911 for fear of somebody may find out who they are and retaliate or do something at that? You know, and we have a lot of older people in Hazleton too who I know they're afraid of that, and they see stuff that goes on right outside their door. You know, how do we make them feel safe to saying, you know, you need to tell?
You're absolutely right. You know, I talk to residents right now, and they're afraid to call 911. They're afraid to report anything to the city because they're thinking that someone's going to come back after them. And, you know, in a few cases, a lady was afraid, and I said, listen, you don't need to be afraid. You need to come to City Hall. This is where we would protect you, and that's opening that police window. That's going to help them be face-to-face, let them know that they're in City Hall, that they are protected, and they can make their complaint there. Same thing with calling 911, to let them know that the police are here to protect them.
I got to ask you, potholes. Okay. Listen, I spend more of my day talking about potholes, and I think we should. But, you know, Hazleton, over the last few years, we've seen, you know, we pave one or two roads. We go out with the pothole patcher. You know, we try to do some stuff. I know everything comes back to being a financially distressed city. We get that. There's only so much you're able to do. But, you know, how do we do we fix some of these crumbling roads? I mean, these are roads that have been left go for years and years, and it's not just Hazleton. There's many communities, but how do you go and say, all right, listen, I know we're paving this street this year and we're patching potholes this year. As the mayor, how do you look at this and kind of make those decisions? How are you going to justify going back and forth?
One thing is I'm actually going to guarantee to the residents that every year we're going to dedicate a portion of that liquid fuels money to street repairs. We need to go after, if we need to buy equipment, we need to go after with grants and use that, so we could dedicate that liquid fuels money to street repairs. I also want to make sure that we are filling the potholes correctly the first time, and it's something that I brought up when I was first elected and I was on council. I found a machine that actually is only a 2-person machine. You pull up, you cut the hole, you patch it, you seal it, and you roll it over. And it's done correctly instead of throwing it in and just rolling it over quick. We need to make sure that we're correcting the potholes correctly the first time, so we're not going back and wasting that time and filling it a week later. That's one of the issues. It's an issue everywhere, but we do also need to be aggressive again with our legislators and our state rep, letting them know, listen, we have a major problem here. Our streets are horrible and we need to fix them, and just being aggressive.
All right, I got to ask you, I want to talk about the police department, and I want to talk about the police chief. The police chief has come out and said that he is loyal to Mayor Cassatt, who had hired him. You had said multiple times that if you become mayor, you're open to having the chief serve, all the department heads. You have not come out and said, I'm firing everybody.
No.
Okay, so you've not said that. But the chief had come out and said that if Mayor Cassatt is not the mayor, he will not be the police chief. So I want to give you the opportunity to respond to that.
Sure. Well, I actually did reach out to all of the department heads, like you said, letting them know what my plans were. And I do find that actually very sad that he would say something like that. I do truly believe that the chief of police should be here dedicated to the residents, dedicated to their safety, and not dedicated to a politician. If you want to be the chief of police in Hazleton, then you need to put the residents first and not a politician. There should be no mix of police work and politics together. And I just think that that is actually, horrible to use this against the residents. I feel that the residents are being held hostage to vote one way, and they're persuading them to vote one way just to keep one person. But if you're really dedicated for the residents and for their safety, then you would stay no matter who the mayor is. It shouldn't matter. That police work, that's your job, and that would not interfere at all. That's where I stand with that.
Okay. I do want to talk about the recent political ad that was taken out in the Hazleton Standard Speaker newspaper, a wrap around the paper. It has gotten some media attention. It has gotten some attention from politicians, from candidates, and from some community residents about it, and where Mayor Cassatt took out an ad, and it covered the paper, and it was a 4-page ad. I want to give you the opportunity to talk about it. I know you were interviewed by a couple media outlets about it. What's your take on it? Again, it's political season. I know things start to get a little interesting in political season, but what was your take on it?
When I first saw it, I couldn't believe that the Standard Speaker actually published a whole article on it. And when I opened it up and saw that that was not the real news, that was a fake news, I never saw anything like that before. I never saw a newspaper do that, so I was taken back by it. I also, too, received many phone calls from many people, and they just couldn't believe that, first of all, that the Standard Speaker allowed that to happen, using their name and having pretty much news that made it seem like it was a news article from the Standard Speaker. Also with the content of it, it was very actually disheartening to see that. To see that it's, you keep this mayor, you're going to keep this chief. The content of that, I think, was actually very disgusting. Team Cassatt, Team Spezial, and that's something that I have been addressing to the residents. It's a team to run a city. It's not 2 people to run the city. And what about your fire chief? What about your department heads and your code and your street? That's all one team. Why are we only focusing on 2 people? And that's where I stand with that content too. I heard from a lot of people about this. This is something that's been going on. Before I came in here, I also heard from residents about that.
Okay, we're coming down close to the end of the show. we talked a lot about what you're looking to do. We've talked about a lot of your platform and what you're looking for. I do want to ask, moving forward, and again, we're closing in on Election Day here. What's your goal for the next few weeks here leading up to Election Day? And I want to say, I know I've been watching your social media posts. You and your team are out knocking on doors, talking to people. So what's your plan leading up to Election Day?
I'm going to continue knocking on people's doors. In case I do miss people, I just want to let everybody know that I am a mother, and I love I love my family. I love the community. I love communicating with them. I love talking to the family and the friends, and I want to be able to talk with everybody, to meet with everybody. And I know that we are getting down into the crunch time now, and I want to make sure I could hear everybody's concern and everybody's issue. So you could message me on Facebook. You could find me there. On my website, I also have an area where you could go in and email me too. But I also want to give people that are not up with the technology, they could call me. I'll give them my phone number. It's 570-233-6022. Call me. Ask me the questions that you have. Let's talk about ideas for our city, and that's what I'm all about, is listening to everybody's concerns and making sure that I'm answering their questions that they have before Election Day.
All right, we're closing in. Anything else you want to, 2 minutes before the end of the close, and you're closing, you want to tell the residents and voters of Hazleton?
I just want everybody to know that I am dedicated to the residents. I vow to put them first, to do what's best for the residents. I have the ability to be a great leader. I have the ability to motivate others. I have the positive energy that our city needs, and I have a clear vision. I will listen and not just hear your concerns. I respect the opinions of everyone, and what I want to do is just make Hazleton a better place to live, work, and raise our families.
All right. If somebody wants to learn more about you, what's the website?
It's AllisonBarletta.com. Facebook is Allison Barletta for Mayor. I'm also on Instagram for those, and anyone could give me a call. My phone is always on.
All right, so we have a lot going on. Again, we have Election Day, May 21st here, primary election. This is really going to depend on which way you think the city should go. Do you think it should continue down its path? Do you think it's time for a different path? You've been hearing in the local media all about this election. Probably one of the biggest and most contested elections for Hazleton Mayor we have seen in some time. And again, it's all up to you, the voters. If you go out and make your voice heard by casting your ballot on May 21st, and make sure you get out there and do that. Allison, I want to thank you very much for coming on and taking the opportunity to talk to the residents of the greater Hazleton area, primarily Hazleton, but everyone, to hear your platform about Hazleton, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much for having me, and I like the pink shirt.
There you go. All right, thank you for joining us here on Talking NEPA. Again, Election Day, May 21st. You can't complain about it if you don't go out and vote, so make sure you go out and vote for whatever candidate you think is the best. If it's Allison, make sure you do that. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next time.